All rise for the jury.
Sorry about that, by the way. I will never drive through Armada. You don't have to worry about that. I'm going south. Oh, okay. Who's that, Chief? Who is that?
I don't know.
Come on up here, Jim. We're going to excuse the jury for a minute, okay? I'm sorry. Where'd the deputy go? Chris? Chris? Sorry, just 1 minute. Go. The record should reflect I gave the jury some brownies today. They don't have anything funny in them. Go have a brownie. I baked all night for the jury. Courtroom.
Okay, I apologize, Your Honor.
So get that thing off right now.
Okay, well,
Thank you. All right,
And if
let's bring him in.
it would include, Your Honor, if he's taking pictures in the lobby, not of our jurors.
Well, he's not allowed to take pictures of anybody in this court. Have a seat, everybody, till the...
Central Michigan.
Dude, my daughter. My money. All rise for the jury.
Okay, so do I have to go home at lunch and bake another batch? Wait till you taste my kielbasa. Who's our next witness?
Wait.
Sir, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give me will be the truth?
I do.
Now, Wade, how do we spell your last name?
H-I-G-G-A-S-O-N.
Okay, have a seat and please speak loud. Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you employed?
I'm a police detective with the city of Livonia.
Are you currently assigned to another law enforcement agency?
I am tasked out to the Michigan State Police Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force.
Is there an acronym for that?
ICAC.
ICAC, okay. How long have you been associated with the crime task force?
Almost 11 years. It'll be 11 years in April.
How long have you been an officer in general?
25 years.
And you indicate that you're at the rank of detective?
Correct.
Do you have any specialized training in a specific area?
I do, in computer and cell phone forensics.
Would you indicate to the jury the type of training that, first of all, what is it exactly that you do for the task force?
I'm an examiner for both computers and cell phones or other small digital devices.
When you say that you are an examiner, what do you mean by that, for those of us that don't know specifically, technically, what you do?
I get the information off of a computer or a cell phone and put it in a format that a detective can review it and see if it has anything to do with the case that they're investigating.
What do you explain to the jury what your training is for that particular task?
Well, it's been extensive. It's almost 3,000 hours now of training. Would go through different tools, also different software. And
let's talk about the schools first. Have you attended the National White Collar Crime Center Computer Crime Section?
Yes.
What was that seminar about? How many hours was that? What did you learn during those courses?
There's probably about 6 or 7 courses in total for them, and they cover everything from the file systems on computers to doing call detail records for phones. Mostly it had to do with the actual file systems or looking at examining computers.
You've attended some programs through the United States Department of Justice. What programs would those have been, and what did you learn during those training sessions?
They already have a tool for previewing, and they were given training on how to use their preview tool. If you go out on a scene and you want to look at a computer, but you do not want to make changes to anything on the computer, there's software specific to them that they give out.
Have you been trained through the John Reed and Associates program as part of your police activities?
Yes, several courses, I believe, too.
Have you been trained on the ASR data software?
I have.
What is that?
It is a different forensic tool. It's a Linux-based tool, so it's for a different operating system that can run on computers. It's not a very popular one, but it's one that's out there.
What about Access Data Software Programming?
Access Data has a tool called Forensic Toolkit, or FTK. That's one of our main go-to tools for looking at computers.
What about a term I actually have and can recognize on your resume, NCASE? What is the NCASE software toolkit that you've studied?
NCASE is yet another computer forensic tool software, and that one is just about as popular as FTK in the use in both private industry and law enforcement.
You've also been trained in these areas through the Department of Homeland Security?
Yes.
And Secret Service?
Correct. I'm also an instructor for the Secret Service.
Have you been qualified as an expert to testify in court in the fields that you have just discussed?
Yes.
What courts and how many times?
Every federal court down in the lower part of Michigan, so both the Eastern District and also over in Ann Arbor. Testified in Macomb County, Wayne County, Oakland County, Washtenaw County, St. Clair County. Several times I lost count how many times in different counties, but
the specific area that you have been determined to be an expert in would be categorized as what?
Cell phones, forensics, and computer forensics.
At this time, Your Honor, we would move to have, do I go Detective Higgison?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Declared an expert in that area.
We have no objection.
The jury's to consider him as an expert.
Sounds like you travel around a lot. Is there a particular area that you're actually a city or an office that you're based in?
We're based out of Livonia at the Criminal Intelligence Division for the Michigan State Police.
This has become known as the Macomb Orchard Trail case, or April Millsap, or People versus James VanCallis. Can you tell the jury, I guess, what contact you received first to become involved in the investigation in this case?
I actually got a call from the FBI, their SEMCAC task force, which is Southeastern Michigan Crimes Against Children. I'm also a part-time member of that task force, doing computer forensics and cell phone forensics for them. And they were called out to help assist the Armada Police Department with this investigation. So I kind of had two hats on when I went out there to help out.
Do you know what date it was when you first went out to help?
It was July 25th, 2014.
Which we've known now is a Friday. Where did you go specifically, and approximately what time did you arrive?
I arrived around 3 p.m. and I went straight to the police department.
What was your role when you got to the investigation?
I was specifically looking at cell phones, trying to get whatever information we could quickly off the phones into the investigators' hands so they could start reviewing it.
When you indicate that you are there to get information off of the cell phones and get it into the investigators' hands, specifically, I guess, what are you doing? I mean, walk us through that. I mean, because we're going to have to talk about analyzing the data, the information about the data, how you do that. We'll get to that in just a second. But what is it that you do when you sit down?
Well, because we're doing this in a mobile setting, we don't get to take every tool we have in the lab. So I chose to bring with me my Celebrite as another tool.
Now, again, this is French. Every tool in the lab, it sounds like this is NASCAR, and you can just roll something out into the body shop. What are you talking about, tools?
Software tools. There's probably 7 or 8 different tools to look at cell phones using the software. But when we go out on scene to try and haul these different tools, some of them won't run on the same computer that the other tool's on because they interfere with each other. So you'd literally be carrying, cases and cases of computers and power supplies, everything for the different units to try and do it on scene. And when we get on these scenes, a lot of times there's not a lot of room available for us. So we try and pick a tool that we know is going to get the majority of the devices we get. And if we do happen to have a phone that just won't work with the tool we have, that one will be earmarked for examination later.
So when you say tool, software is a tool, and sometimes like VanCallis might be on one computer, Cellbrite might be on another computer. In terms of the running systems, don't run each of the software, so you have a variety of different computers that you would use if you were at your home base to make a determination what would be the appropriate software or tool to download the information that you're talking about?
Correct.
Well, I mean, can't you just simply take the SIM card out and stick in that little device and connect it to something?
You could, but there's not a lot of information on the SIM card. So most of the stuff that we want to look at is like call records and text messages. Those would be located on the cell phone itself and not on the SIM card typically.
When you talk about then downloading it, would you explain, just take a basic smartphone. Let's just say I gave to you an Apple i4.
Okay.
And you were asked by the officers or the detective agency to produce the information that you normally do off that phone. Explain to the jury the steps that you would take.
Well, from my own personal experience doing an iPhone 4, I would know that the Cellbrite Physical Analyzer software would be the best way to look at that device. And so we wouldn't actually use a Cellbrite unit. We would use some software they have for doing analysis. We would connect the device up to the software and follow the steps as they put them on the screen, so it would be having the phone off to begin with. And then we connect it to the device would recognize the phone and put it into a special mode that the software can read from the device. It's nice because when you do it this way, it doesn't actually turn on where it hits the network, where if there's a kill signal for the phone, it can get wiped. Everything's done in a more forensically sound manner. It just works really well with an iPhone 4 versus some of the later models. And so we get the information, it'll go and actually pull all the call records and text messages and pictures and videos and that kind of information from the device and put it into a report format that an investigator can look at in several formats. We'll do a PDF, an Excel spreadsheet, HTML, so it comes up like a web page, and it's all indexed so the person can look at it and look specifically at the information that they're interested in.
So you would physically hand a written report that includes certain data that you've captured from the phone?
Well, these reports are so large that you wouldn't print them out or give it in a written form. You'd give it to them in electronic form on a DVD. It's not uncommon for these reports to be 10,000 or more pages long, so that's just prohibitive to try and print that out.
Yeah. You had indicated the iPhone is easier than some of the phones that are locked. There is some information that those of us who have county phones, what do you mean you can be locked out? Can you use all of the software to get on any phone that you want?
Right now, there's some phones that we're just not able to get into that has software-based or hardware-based. The newest iPhones have several countermeasures in there to prohibit us from getting in. And we're working with them in that industry to try and get them to give us a way to get in once we have a legal process.
So is it in the phone itself, or is it, for example, my wife and I have our phones, we don't have codes to get in the phone, they just lay around. If I were to have had a security code, does that prevent you from going into the phone in the manner in which you're talking about?
Yes, it would.
If I don't have a security code, does it prevent you from getting into the phone?
No.
Are the older phones that you've talked about, i4s, i3s, some of the older Samsung Galaxies, are those phones different than the newest generation out in the last 12, 14 months?
They are, and that we can get around a passcode on the older phones.
The phones that you analyzed in this particular case, did you have any problems with any of the security systems in these phones?
No, all the phones were given to us had consent at the beginning, and if there was a passcode, the user had given a passcode with the written consent form that they'd filled out.
Now, if this were actually your computer screen when you're doing using your tools to look at, are you browsing, I guess, at the same time through the phone itself, or is the computer simply downloading that information? Because I guess what I'm confused about is phones have texting, they have internet searches, there's the phone call itself, going out, incoming. Are those in different places on that software and in different categories that are in some way highlighted, so when you turn that disk over to the next investigator, they can look at it via category as to what it is specifically they need to find?
Okay, I'm going to answer it in two parts. One, you say, like, are things rolling by on the screen as we're doing our exam, and they're not. It might tell us that it's getting text messages, but we're not seeing any of the content displayed to us on the screen as it's acquiring them. It might be rolling through a counter telling that we've gotten 200 now, and it's just kind of rolling through telling us how many messages they're picking up off the device. As far as the report goes, the report is categorized. So when the investigator looks at the report, it'll say text messages, and you click on it, and then you're just looking at text messages. There's also a timeline feature built into Celebrite, where if you want to go and look at a specific date, you can click on that, and any information that has a date stamp associated with it, like a picture or a video, or even text message and calls, will show up on that date in the order, time is how it's sorted by what time of day it happened. So that's a nice feature that Celebrite has built in that helps the investigator not look at thousands of text messages that have nothing to do with the days that they're interested in, and they can tunnel right down to what days and times they're interested in.
So they could actually put in a date, they could put in a phone number, they could put in a website, they could put in any number of search terms, and the software would lead directly to that specific information.
Yes, and that's also why I put it into an Excel spreadsheet, because Excel is so easy for searching for like a cell phone number or a date or a time. So it's in a nice spreadsheet, and they can type that in and it'll search and narrow it right down for them.
There are a half dozen people on the jury or more who may understand what an Excel spreadsheet. There are some consistent with me, and I have no clue what you say when you say Excel spreadsheet. Would you sort of give a further description for me?
Yeah, Excel is a program from Microsoft. It's part of their Office suite, and it deals with specifically doing like a spreadsheet where you have rows of columns, and you can put in like the date, the time, the cell phone number, who was called, how long the call was. So it puts everything into a nice sortable column for you. So with that, you could say, I just want to concentrate on a certain phone number. And when you put that in, it'll eliminate all other information from the spreadsheet except for the calls that had to do with that, either incoming or outgoing for that cell phone number. So it helps an investigator, take maybe 10,000 calls and narrow it down to a couple hundred. And that way, it's a lot easier to do your job.
So there are a lot of different terms that one can put in. When you, I guess, is your job to do that part of the investigation, to look for something specific, or is it just simply to provide them with the disk so that that can be done at a later time or by somebody else?
Well, originally we would do all of it, especially because like with computer forensic exams, generally there's a lot more between the investigator and the examiner, and we're giving search terms to look for things, and computer exams, because of that, take a lot longer to do. With cell phones, we're literally getting thousands of those into our office every year. If we were to do the same level of examination with those where we're going in and doing analysis, we wouldn't be able to help people out with that. So what we do with cell phones is we dump all the information, put it into a format that the investigators can easily look at, and then ship it back to them without doing any analysis at all. Because of that, it's not uncommon for me to do 200 or 300 cell phones in a year for examination, and maybe 10 computers. So it just kind of shows you the difference of what you can get done.
And I'm assuming the investigative agencies you work with are outfitted with the appropriate software that was be compatible with the format that you send them your compilations on?
Yes, most everything we have has a freeware version of a reader that can look at it. So with Excel, if you can't afford to buy the Microsoft Excel, you could always use OpenOffice, which is a free program, and it has inside it a spreadsheet reading program. Same thing with a PDF format. There's several, Adobe even has a free reader where you could open up the software and look at the resulting exam details that I had. So there's nothing that requires the department actually have to go out and make a purchase, other than owning a computer of some sort to view it on. The cell phone software itself is very expensive, and it's kind of prohibits a lot of departments from having their own, which is why we are such a common source for everyone to come to us for that stuff. We might spend $40,000, $50,000 a year on software renewals just for cell phones, and that's beyond what most departments can do. Besides, now you got to train the examiner. That's just buying the tools and the equipment. Now you got to know how to use them. So it gets to be very cost prohibitive quickly.
Let's go back then to July 25th. You indicate that you then, based on what you've talked, I'm going to assume that you select in your portable toolkit the most common or the most likely based software that you're going to run into on phones to increase your chances that you'll be able to do it on site.
Right. The Cellbrite is acknowledged as one of the tools that actually services the most phones. It will get the most information from most phones. There's several tools that are very close to that one, but if you had to pick one tool right now at this time, Cellbrite would be the one tool that you'd take that you'd hope would get whatever phone you were presented with.
When you're sent out on July 24th, then you're at the police station. I'm going to assume for the most part that when they call you, they know you have an assigned role. You're there for a specific purpose, and that's why they called you.
Yes, they told me I'd be doing cell phones and possibly computers.
You're not being called out to knock on doors or do anything like that. You're being called out specifically for that service.
Correct.
When you get to the Armada Police Department, I guess, is it important to be debriefed on what's going on? Is that critical to the task that you're going to perform?
No, not really.
Because you're essentially just downloading the information from the phone and turning it over on a disk.
Yes, typically that's how it happens. I show up, they set me up in an area, then evidence starts coming to me with either a search warrant or a consent form showing me why I have the right to look at it.
And you make certain that you have either a consent form or a search warrant before you begin the task.
Correct.
When you're here on the 24th, it should be on the 25th, you start looking at phones.
I did.
Okay. The phones that you begin looking at, are they as a result of a search warrant or are they as a result of consent to search?
Consent to search.
Do you recall the names of the individuals whose phones that you looked at?
Not offhand, no. Other than I do know I looked at the victim's phone, April Millsap.
Okay, so you did look at April Millsap's phone?
Yes.
Okay, and you then went through that process and downloaded that information?
Correct.
As a result of your effort in this case, did you write a series of police reports that would then identify the phones that you did do?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you, looks like about 15 or 20 pages of a typed report. Just simply ask if you are familiar with that report. Do you know what information is on that report? I had, for the record, shown us a Mr. Sheet prior to handing it to Detective Higgins.
That is true, yeah.
Yes, I'm familiar. There's several reports here, and they're all from me.
All I'm interested in, do those reports, if you look at the bottom of those reports in somebody's handwriting, it just sort of summarizes, gives the name of the phone, the person's phone that you looked at. The first couple of pages there, as you've indicated, are April Millsap. Would you just sort of glance there and indicate the jurors are familiar with the names in this case and tell the jurors the names of the phones that you went through on behalf of the investigation in this case?
Okay, the first item is April Millsap's phone. It was an iPhone 4S. These are out older. Next item is going to be from Alex Schultz.
Okay.
That was also an iPhone 4S. Another item, David Albertson, and that was an iPhone 4S. Next item from Timothy Stroll, and it was iPhone 5C. Next one was Austin Albertson, and it was an iPhone 4. Then another phone was David Leichenfeld, it looks like it says.
That's close.
Yep. And that was an LG 420 GB. So I believe that's like a track phone. We were not able to get into that one for some reason because it's a track phone.
Okay.
And the rest are computers.
All right. So basically, a series of. Did you do them all? I guess how long does it take to do each phone?
That really depends on the phone. They're all different sizes. An iPhone can be as small as 8 gigabytes or as much as 128 gigabytes now. So if the device is bigger and has more information on it, it's going to take longer to get information off of it.
In English, are we talking the difference between a half hour and 2 hours? Or what?
It can be that long.
Okay.
And that's not even doing a really in-depth pull from the phone, just a basic logical dump where you're getting nothing but call history and such with nothing deleted. It can take a while because it's so large.
Were you able to complete all those phones that first day on that Friday the 25th when you were out in Armada?
Yes, I made sure I was done with all the phones before I left for the evening.
Did you return on the 26th to Armada?
I did not return to Armada. I returned back to my lab to examine a computer belonging to April Millsap.
As a result of taking a look at that computer, did you actually look at that? And I think you had indicated this previously. When you do the computers, you actually then go in and look for specific things, or do you do just a basic dump once again and turn that data over?
With the computer, we do more in-depth and we do analysis. So when I looked at that computer trying to see if there was any chat programs, anything could give us information, a lead on somebody maybe she was meeting. Went through that computer, didn't find any of those kind of things, but we did find that the computer was used mostly for gaming.
And so if there had been an email that indicated that there had been a communication between her and somebody specific, you would have been able to either get a name, an IP address, or an address of some site that would have led to, I guess, further investigation?
Correct. That's the type of information you can get off of the computer.
And her computer didn't have anything really of any value in that sense?
Didn't look like that's what she used it for. It was just playing SimCity. That seems to be about what she did.
I'm going to hand you People's Proposed Exhibit number 131 and ask if you could describe specifically for the jury what that sheet is.
This is going to be a cover sheet for one of my cell phone reports, and this is for a Samsung Galaxy S3, which is a model number of SCHI535. It's a cell phone.
And that's a form that, I guess, what's the use of that form in general?
Well, it identifies several things about the actual examination. It tells you the date that the examination was done, the extraction when it ended. It also tells you the software that was being used on the Cellbrite unit itself. It gives the Cellbrite unit's information. It also, it has areas where I can enter information in, so I put in like the report number associated with this, the item number associated with that report, and my information as well.
And you're familiar that that's a form that you developed as part of this investigation?
That form is actually generated by a program, and I just completed, filled it in. So I didn't create that form.
But you are familiar with,
yes.
with it? Okay. At this time, Your Honor, we would move to the introduction of People's Exhibit number 131.
No objection, Your Honor.
If you could step down, Detective, and we're going to go to the screen.
Please keep your voice up, sir.
Morgan John.
I'm going to give you a pointer. I just want the jury to see the format that this information is delivered in so that it is clear for all of the, so that they have an idea. Thank you. Oh. Again, so if you would just walk us through what this form, this information from this form.
Well, it tells me which cable I used. In this case, just the 133 indicates to me that it was a cable that creates a physical examination for that phone. With a physical, we get everything from the phone as possible. Deleted information such as maybe deleted pictures, deleted text messages. It also, if that didn't clue me in, right here it tells, and this is from the software itself, I didn't enter this, it tells you that you did a physical. The date and time that it was started, the Again, it's in our Eastern Standard Daylight Time. And then when it finished. So this case, it took a little over, or just a little shy, 3 minutes shy of 3 hours to do this exam. And that's just the software, dumping the information off of the phone. Gives the maker the fact that it's a CDMA phone, so that tells you the type of phone. If it's a SIM phone, where you need a SIM card, it'd be a GSM model. This is not, it's a CDMA, so we're in a Sprint or Verizon type phone. Then the unit version this has to do with the Cellbrite telling you what the software was used. And then the software on the computer to look at the resulting dump of the Cellbrite is indicated. Again, it reminds you of the time zone settings. Work through the headset for the device when you ran it, so that it would be in our time, so the dates and times would make sense to us. Rather than in the Greenwich time, so everything you'd have to do the math in our head. And take 4 hours away from everything we see. Sometimes that can be very confusing when it gets close to midnight, because you're felt between different days even. So that's really important to have done. Case number, the item number for the piece of evidence, and then this is the information I fill in also. Who I am, where I work, and how I was doing the exam as part of what. So it's part of the ICAC task force.
I'm going to hand you People's Proposed Exhibit number 132. You indicated that you did April Millsap's phone?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask if you can recognize People's Proposed Exhibit number 132.
I do recognize this.
And what is that?
This was a text message from the device, and it was a Cellbrite text message report.
Okay. And that's a screen capture of that report?
That looks like a screen capture of that one text message.
Okay. And you're familiar with that? You did perform that capture?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, we move to the introduction of People's 132.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. Would you explain to the jury then what we're talking about here?
What this is just taken right out of the report is actually a text message. And the timestamp here is when the text message was sent. And then delivered is when the network acknowledges that it received the text message. And so there it comes right up. So it was all instantaneous. The network got the message sent from her. This does not indicate when it's being read by the other individual. It's just telling you that the network acknowledged receiving the text message. And this is the actual text message itself. And this is the number that was sent to.
And this was off of April's phone?
Yes.
And just for the record, would you give the date and the time of the timestamp and the date and time of the delivery, and then read the body of the text?
Okay, in this case, both the delivered time and the timestamp time are the same. It's July 24th, 2014. It says 6:28 p.m. with 17 seconds. And again, it indicates that we took into account that we're in our time zone, not Greenwich time.
And the text was?
The text was, the body of the text is, I think I almost got kidnapped, OMFG.
Now, you also indicated that you did the download on a computer that was taken from a search warrant at the James VanCallis household. Okay, I'm going to hand you People's Proposed Exhibit number 33 and ask if you recognize what is in People's Proposed Exhibit number 33.
This is
133.
This is a screenshot of information I obtained using the Internet Evidence Finder, which is another software program, and showing their Chrome archived web history. So we're using Google Chrome to surf the web.
What is important about, when you're doing these searches, a web history? What does that tell you about the person, I guess, whose computer you're looking at?
It kind of tells you where they're going on the Internet, what they're looking for, maybe if it's a search. But you can kind of get an idea of what their interests are based on what they're doing.
The computer then actually retains, I guess, the information of where the search went to electronically?
The computer does as a vessel to store it, but in this case, the software was retaining this information, and it's the Google Chrome software.
Okay. At this time, Your Honor, let me show it to Mr. Sheets. I would move to the introduction of People's Exhibit number 133.
No objection, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
All right. First off, would you explain, I guess, this format to the jury?
Well, Internet Evidence Finder tries to explain where the person was going on the Internet. So if you were to type this, it's called the URL, if you were to type this out, it would go somewhere on the Internet, because in this case it's a Google search. We know that because it says Google, but when it's a Q, that's also a search term. When we see Google searches, it's always got a Q. And then, so the question is, and then what does it mean when a girl tells you that she has a boyfriend? The little pluses in between wasn't typed in. What it is Google's looking at it, and they're linking all these different words you typed in and saying this is all part of the search. We don't want you to search these separately. We want you to add all this total together and then do a search. So that's something that Google does to the search terms when you're typing it in. You don't see that. The user just sees spaces between the words you're typing.
And so is that next column then what you're talking about?
Yes.
Right here?
So what Internet Evidence Center tries to do is then they label a title. It's just something that they put on it. And they show you what it would have looked like to the person doing the search. So you notice all the pluses aren't there. And then again, in case you didn't catch back here, there was a Google search. They spell it right out for you. Say that's a Google search, so that you know that's what you were looking at.
All right, so let's go through each one of these. The top one, then, would you read that again for me?
Okay, so it's the same I read here, but what does it mean when a girl tells you that she has a boyfriend?
And what date was that search done on?
The last time it was searched was March 17, 2014 at 11:26 a.m. And again, it made the adjustment for daylight savings. In this case, now we're 5 hours off, because it must have been during daylight savings.
Entry number 1548. Just, again, just so that the jury is clear, all of these under the URL would be the way that the software is reading it?
Correct.
Okay, and then this under title is the language that was typed in?
Correct.
And then to the right is the last date and time visited in terms of when it was last looked at.
Yes. So the software will keep track of what you've already searched. So you notice that here, the visit count says it's been visited twice.
Okay.
So it's telling you you've done that at least twice. You've done that same search.
Okay. What was the search in entry 1548?
Exactly the one I just read, but in this case, you notice the time is 20 seconds off. So the person would have gone back and did the search again, probably to get the list of hits, to do whatever you're going to do with the hits that are there.
All right. 1549. What does that one say?
Okay. So this is now a YouTube search.
What's the difference between a YouTube search and a Google search?
Well, YouTube is a video site, so they were searching on the YouTube site, and then they got to put in what their search is. And in this case, this is what, right here is what it actually looks like, but this is what they actually typed. So the translation here, we actually need the software to translate it for us.
So if I could, so on my computer, I would go to Google. I would then go to the internet. It would say whatever. I would then type in YouTube, press enter. It takes me to the YouTube website, and then there's that line at the top on the YouTube that says entry or search, and this would have been the term typed into that search box.
It could have been. What I'm looking at now, when you look at the totality of this, it looks like this most likely was a result from these searches in the Google. Because when they clicked on it and went to YouTube, it was just a few seconds after this, and it was pretty close to what was being searched for under Google in the search terms. So this would have most likely been a hit that came up when this search was performed.
And what was that search term?
But this is not a search term, this is the title to the video.
All right.
The title to this video is What to Do When a Girl Says She Has a Boyfriend. And it's on YouTube as the source of the video.
So when you go on a Google search and you hit go, it comes up with that list that says, you know, X number cajillion found in 3 seconds. This would have been one of the titles. Does this mean he clicked on that title?
Yes, this is actually the web history, so this is a place that the person went.
All right, so he clicked on it and opened up that particular entry.
He clicked on the entry, whether he played it or not,
Okay.
you can't tell from
Right. All right, and then what is on 1550, 1550?
The title, this is again YouTube, the title is What to Do When a Girl Says She Has a Boyfriend, but the video number is different, so it's going to be similar title, but a different video.
So there's actually, these are not these might be the same titles, but they were 2 different videos.
Correct.
All right, or 2 different sources. The 1561, what does that one say?
Okay, this is also at YouTube. It says How to Tell If a Girl Likes You. And again, that's a different number than these 2 here for the video.
All right, and what's the date on that one?
March 17, 2014, 12:09 p.m.
In staying with this, now I'm going to ask you to take a look at People's Proposed Exhibit number 134. And are you familiar with that?
This is more from the same Internet Evidence Finder report?
That you did?
Yes.
Okay, at this time now we move for the introduction of People's Exhibit number 134.
No objection, Your Honor.
Submitted.
All right. Once again, let's start going through. We've got entry at 1562 that indicates YouTube. What was the title that came out on this one?
For this video, the title is How to Text, and it's on caps, a girl.
And what was the date on that one?
March 17, 2014 at 12:19 p.m.
Entry 1563.
Say this to a girl. And March 17, 2014 at 12:45 p.m.
1564.
How to have sex with a girl. March 17, 2014 at 12:53 p.m.
Entry number 1579.
Now we're back to a Google search.
Okay.
Again, it tells us Google search. We can see the term. It's how to play a girl that's trying to play you.
And what's the date and time on that one?
March 17, 2014 at 9:49 p.m.
All right. Number 1580.
Also a Google search. The search is how to play a girl that's trying to play you. March 17, 2014 at 9:50 p.m.
All right. And so then that, if we looked at consistently with what you said before, resulted in then options that popped up, because it says YouTube here.
Now, most likely, because you don't have to stand over the person's shoulder seeing what they're doing, but this would indicate there's a possibility that's how that happened.
And what's the term on 1583?
Okay, 1583 is a YouTube site. It says how to play a girl that's trying to play you, and that's March 17, 2014 at 10:01 p.m.
And entry number 1586.
Also for YouTube, it says what are girls really thinking? March 17, 2014 at 10:16 p.m.
All right, going to hand you People's Proposed Exhibit number 135.
No objection, Your Honor.
And this-
Submitted.
Thank you. Would you indicate the date, time, and the search query on that one?
This is actually a YouTube result. It's saying it's a search query, but it must have been done on the YouTube site because of the way it's formatted. And it says that it's a search query right here. It says how to know if a girl's interested in you, source being YouTube. That's March 29, 2014 at 11:17 p.m.
Going to hand you Proposed Exhibit number 136, showing it to Mr. Sheet first.
Thank you. No objection, Your Honor.
Submitted.
Let's go from the top, and let's start with number 150 on that one.
Okay, this is a little different than what we've seen before. This is a different website, and it's saying that it's a torrent. Torrent's a place where you can go and download content. It can be pictures, videos, documents, but it's basically a place that people share downloads. In this case, the torrent is Kick-Ass, is the name of it, and the search was done. So it's how to get the girl.
So just real quick.
And it's a download that we're doing.
All right, so just we see numbers behind, but we ignore the numbers and we just look at the words, how to get the girl.
Right. It breaks it down for you over here. When you do between words, the actual characters that are there is this percentage and 20. So to me, that indicates that it's space between each of the words. When the site interpreted it, it literally pulled the coding in for a space. So that's how a computer would see it. That's not how we see it. When we go to space, it's just blank.
Okay. And that download is how to get the girl. And what's the date on that one?
April 29, 2014 at 8:54 p.m.
Number 263.
And we're back to YouTube, and this was a search on YouTube. And this girl keeps looking at me was what was searched for. And that's May 15, 2014 at 10:52 p.m.
Number 264.
This is just a YouTube video. It's not a search. This is what it means when a girl looks at you. May 15, 2014 at 10:54 p.m. And the count is 4.
But yeah, on 263, when it says visit count, this has a 9 on it. What does that 9 tell you about?
It's saying that this person has gone to this search query or whatever 9 times. They've looked at, this girl keeps looking at me and gone back to that 9 times.
9 times. And then what it means when a girl looks at you. He went to that one 4 times.
Correct, but again, the date is just the last time they went. We don't have all the dates of the previous times. It could have been from years before, or the day before, or minutes before.
All right. Number 265.
265 is a YouTube video, and the video is what it means when a girl looks at you.
What's the date on that one?
May 15, 2014 at 10:56 p.m.
Number 266.
266 is a YouTube search. You can see here it says search query. And the search was, why does this girl keep looking at me? And the video that popped up or whatever was easiest way to impress any woman.
And the date on that one?
5/15/2014 at 10:58 p.m.
Number 276.
276 is a search on YouTube again. And the search query was how to make a girl that does not want you to want, does not want to want you.
All right, so again, how to make a girl that does not want you to want you. Okay.
Okay, and the resulting video that came up was how to attract younger women.
And
And that was May 15, 2014 at 11:49 p.m.
And on this page, the final one.
Final one is a YouTube video. It says how to make a girl fall in love with you, what girls really want. And that's May 16, 2014 at 12:11 a.m.
All right. Handing Mr. Sheik Peoples proposed exhibit number 137. Thank you. Any objection?
No objections.
We would move for the entry, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
Once again, let's keep walking through it.
Okay, this is from YouTube. The title of it is About a Girl, How to Get a Girl That Doesn't Like You. And May 16, 2014 at 12:27 a.m. Next one is a YouTube, just indicating it was watched, that's what it says. About a Girl, How to Get a Girl That Doesn't Like You. May 16, 2014 at 12:27 a.m.
Number 304.
304 is a Google search. And the search was, why does this girl ignore me? And why doesn't this? And then I got like GI something. That
It says GI plus GS.
GI ampersand GS.
Okay.
But the result is, why does this girl ignore me? Is a Google search. May 16, 2014 at 11:04 a.m.
And number 306.
It says it's a redirect. So I imagine this was an advertisement link or something with the Google search that may have been clicked on, because there's all kinds of extra stuff in here it shows. But this was from Why Do Girls Ignore Me? Bodybuilding.com forums, and that was May 16, 2014 at 11:04 a.m.
And the final one on that page.
Also, it's from the bodybuilding forum. It's a thread, so I guess this was kind of like all related here. It's the same thing. Why Do Girls Ignore Me? Bodybuilding.com forums. May 16, 2014, 11:04 a.m.
I'm handing Mr. Sheik Peoples proposed exhibit number 137. 138. Any objections?
No objections, Mr. Controller.
It's
Remove.
admitted. It's admitted.
Okay, let's put up 138. Now, this is a slightly different format. It looks like. Can you explain the difference between this one and the one we were just looking at?
It's coming from a different area on the computer. This is actually coming out of the Google Chrome program. It's located on the computer in the James and Crystal account for the user. And it's just history from Google.
Does it give a date on these particular ones, the way this one is published? Or
It does not.
okay. And if we would just look at number 30, the top one, and what is the search on that one?
The search is how to make a girl that does not want you to want you.
And then number 32.
How to get a girl that does not like you to like you.
And then number 39.
Why does this girl ignore me?
So we don't know anything from that about search results or views.
Draw any kind of conclusions or data time from that.
Again, people's proposed exhibit number 139.
No objections.
It's admitted.
Thank you. Once again, the Thing as we had before, this is the same format as 138, and it does not list the dates, but it does list the search terms. Okay, yes, this is the 139. Right.
The search term here, this is a Google search, it says, the keyword search was hypnosis. Then there was another search again done, same keyword of hypnosis.
Okay, what we'll do is just also list a few with the record number. So
okay, that was record 11. Record 25 is this girl keeps looking at me. It's a Google search, or a YouTube search actually, it says here YouTube. Record 26 is why does this girl keep looking at me? And this is a YouTube search query as well. Record 27, why would this girl say I'm too old for her and still hit on me? And that's a YouTube search. Record 28, girls say I'm too old for her and still hit on me. Also a YouTube search query. And last is record 29, do young girls like older men? And it's a YouTube search query as well.
I thank Mr. Sheet. People propose exhibit number 140.
No objections.
Move for its entry, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
All right, now we're back to the other format.
Okay.
Okay, that was a statement, but it was sort of a question. Just for the record, am I correct?
You are correct.
Thank you. Then let's start with number 89 and read that into the record for the jury.
Okay, the source is a little different location here. It's going through a search conduit, which again is the website. But the search term, let's see here. It's kind of obfuscated a little bit here, but it's making a girl like you.
Oh,
So it's kind of buried in there with all this other.
Right, so this is the term I hear, what you talked about before, when in the spaces, percentages are added, but if you read between them, you've got making a girl like you.
Right.
Okay. Then number 90.
90 is a search on Yahoo.
Okay, but just to finish this, what's the date on that one?
I'm sorry, that's June 4th, 2014 at 9:51 a.m. Again, it's been adjusted for daylight saving.
And number 90?
90 is a Yahoo search. Again, this is a search for making a girl like you. And it was June 4th, 2014 at 9:51 a.m. Record 108, back to the Kick-Ass site, which is that torrent site. How to get the girl. July 10th, 2014 at 6:06 p.m. Record 173, now we're on YouTube, is a search, and the query is, this girl keeps looking at me. That was December 31st. Well, here we go. This is an actual error.
But please read the date first.
The date is 12/31/1969.
Okay.
7 a.m. and 0 seconds.
Well, all right. What does that tell you?
It tells me that this record was partially overwritten and that this doesn't make any sense at all. Computers didn't exist at this point. We'll see this on occasion where the tool is trying to interpret it for us. And when it pulls in a date like this is absolutely wrong. There's no way that date could possibly be true.
So is the computer, the software just throwing a default date of some type?
It could be a default date. That is a very, exactly on the second. Anytime we get a hit where it's, it's when you look at that, maybe it's possibly error. It's very difficult for that to happen. So, we're seeing 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. with 0 seconds and a date that doesn't make any sense. That tells us this entry is going to be partially corrupted at least.
176 then?
176. It's a YouTube search, and the search is why does this girl keep looking at me? And that's July 18th, 2014 at 8:24 a.m.
And the final one on that page
is a record 182. It's a YouTube search query. Why would this girl say I'm too old for her and still hit on me? And that's July 18th, 2014 at 8:24 a.m.
Then the final one, Your Honor, is People's Proposed Exhibit number 141. I have shown it to Mr. Sheep.
No objection, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
Once again, let's go through these final 6.
Okay, so record 182. And it's a YouTube search query of why would this girl say I'm too old for her and still hit on me, from July 18th, 2014 at 8:24 a.m. 183, all YouTube search queries. Girls say I'm too old for her and still hit on me. July 18, 2014, 8:24 a.m. Record 184, YouTube search query. You young girls like older men. July 18, 2014 at 8:24 a.m. Record 187, and it's a YouTube search query. How to make a girl that does not want you to want you. July 18, 2014 at 8:24 a.m. Record 191, a YouTube search query. How to get a girl that does not like you to like you. July 18, 2014 at 8:24 a.m. And last record 207. It's a Google search this time. Why does this girl ignore me? And that was July 18, 2014 at 8:13 a.m.
Okay, just remain standing here. Did you look at a phone from a gentleman by the name of Donnie VanCallis?
Yes, it's one of two phones I received for a search warrant this time.
Okay. When you were looking at that phone, did you put in James VanCallis's phone number to, I guess, do a search on the contacts between the two of them?
I was asked to follow up with the phone number, and I did put the phone number in.
Okay. I'm going to hand you People's Proposed Exhibit number 142 and ask if you recognize what's in that exhibit.
Yes, that's the phone number I was asked to search for.
And the exhibit itself is a printout of I guess, a find that you made as a result of your
This
search?
is the call record. Looks like it was an outgoing call.
And is that then, are you familiar with that?
Yes, this is from the Celebrate Report.
Okay. At this time, we would move for the introduction of People's Exhibit number 142.
No objection, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
Now, do you see the name James VanCallis up there?
I do not.
Do you see the name Donnie VanCallis up there?
No, I do not.
What is it about what we see up here that has you indicate that the call went to or was received by Donnie VanCallis from James VanCallis?
Well, this arrow here is put in by the program to indicate whether it's an incoming or outgoing call. The name itself, it's not caller ID. The name comes from the user's phone book on the phone. So when the tool is pulling the information in for us, it tries to help us out with names and stuff. So it will go to a person's phone book and pull in, if there's an associated name with a phone number, it'll pull the name in for us to tell us who it was that was making the call or receiving the call going to them. So that's where that came from. It's not like from Verizon or somebody telling you with caller ID, this is who we think's calling you.
So this is actually James VanCallis' phone number, the 810-689-7759?
That's what I was provided with,
Okay.
the number.
Okay. And then, I guess, when I see the word Amy Parks, that would be how it was listed in his contact information on his phone?
Correct.
And so when that number shines up, if I get a phone call and I see who's calling, that's the name that comes up from the contact or the address book inside the phone itself associated with that phone number.
Correct. We see that all the time on our own phones. When you make a call and you don't know the person, you just see the phone number displayed. But if you have that person in your phone book and the call comes up, however you have them entered, if it's a nickname or whatever, that's what comes up. It's what's in your own phone book.
Okay. Would you give the date of that call and the time of that call?
Okay. The date and time listed on the device for the call is July 24, 2014 to 18:14, which is going to be 6:14 p.m. It's done like military time. And this is the duration of the call. It's for 1 minute and 32 seconds.
So what would essentially be approximately, I guess, 6:15 p.m. on the date of July 24th, Donnie VanCallis received a phone call from this number, which we will show to the next witness, is James VanCallis' phone number.
Correct. And it lasted for 1 minute and 32 seconds.
Okay. From this, you can't tell anything more than that. You just know that that was the duration of that call at that time.
Correct.
Thank you. Stay up. Going to hand you People's Proposed Exhibit. I'll show it to Mr. Sheep, number 143.
No objection.
Move for its entry.
It's admitted.
Thank you. Would you indicate now what this is in relation to what we were just talking about?
Okay. This time it's to instead of from. It's given the same phone number, Amy Parks. 7/24/2014 at 18, which is again 6:44 p.m. It's giving the network time. This is something a little extra. Usually you don't necessarily see that, but it's showing that the network time matched the time on the device.
And so basically what we have is a phone call from Donnie VanCallis' phone to what's listed as Amy Parks, but is essentially James VanCallis on July 24th of 2014 at what is 6:44 and 12 seconds.
Correct.
Is there any information is this a phone call though or a text?
I was looking at that when you said that. It's hard to tell from this because I don't see the title of the report that it's in. This is just a section from it. Sent doesn't seem to make sense if it's a phone call.
So if we were to expand this, I mean, would this be the body of the text itself?
Could be, but
Okay.
again, taking this out of the report, you're lacking the headings where I can tell exactly where this came
All right,
from.
then we'll have to, we will adjust this for you at some point. Okay, I've handed Mr. Sheik People's Exhibits number 144 through 150. They are photographs, Your Honor. I'm going to move one by one. So, first of all, let me just remain
Well,
here.
hold on, are you objecting, or are you going to wait?
No, I'm not objecting.
So 144 through,
150.
thank you, they're all admitted.
Just let's, hold on. Take it down, Craig, we're not ready yet. You indicated that you also then, when provided with the computer, did a download, I guess did a computer analysis for the Armada investigative team of the computer that came from the VanCallis household?
That's correct.
Let's talk about, I guess, was the computer itself, did it have a code or an owner name on it or a password of some sort?
It was password protected. It was James Crystal was the name of the computer, and it was Dell all-in-one, where it's all built into it. One screen has a DVD, everything built into it.
So it says James and Crystal computer. The information you're providing, you're not going to be able to say who was doing these searches.
Correct. I'm not standing behind, so I have no idea who's at the keyboard.
It's just, this is the information that is on that computer.
Correct.
Did you receive a request to look specifically for any videos on the computer?
I was asked to look for videos, look for motorcycle, look for shoes.
Okay. And then I'm going to, did you in fact find photographs of both? Or videos and or photographs of both?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And then did you turn those over or also make screen captures for the investigators on your findings?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to put up People's Exhibit number 144. Would you indicate to the jury what's in this photograph?
This is a screen capture from a video, and it's showing a foot with a shoe.
All right. What's the date?
Now, this is the name of the file, and what's unique when some cell phones, when they take a video or a picture, the original name that it generates for that is the date and time. So in this case, it indicates it's a video. It gives a date and time of 2013, November 30th, and then the time is a military time of 15:28:44, so it would be 3:28 p.m. in 44 seconds.
When, I guess, these images are off of the computer, but is there an assumption that, I guess, you can take, just for the record, videos or photographs from your cell phone and download them onto your computer?
Sure, it's done all the time.
And this is information that you found on the computer itself?
Correct, this is from the computer.
Then if we would put up People's Exhibit number 145, what is the, again, what's the major image here that you were looking for?
I was trying to capture the shoe, and this is it right here.
And what's the date on that one?
It is the same, 2013, 11:30, for November 30th, at 15:28, so 3:28 p.m. in 44 seconds.
I'm going to put up People's 146. This may be redundant in terms of the date, but it's already in, so let's just go through it.
Same video, same name, so it's
Same time.
2013, November 30th, 15:28, which is 3:28 p.m. Again, it's another shot of the shoe.
Looking at People's Exhibit number 147. What do we have here?
Okay, this is a different video.
All right.
It's video is 2014, February 7th at 6:10 p.m. So it says 1810, and it said part of that shoe, the front part.
All right, going to people's proposed exhibit, or exhibit number 148. What's the date on that one?
Okay, this is going to be a video from the name of it is 2014, February 16th at 12 o'clock noon, 53 seconds. And it's showing two pairs of the same shoe.
Okay. And then exhibit number 149 is back to what would appear to be a cell phone record. Would you indicate to the jury now what we're looking at on this
Okay,
exhibit?
this looks like a call record. And again, it's telling who the party is going to. In this case, it says Donnie, and it has a phone number, the 586-651-1521. It's indicating it was July 24, 2014 at 6:14 p.m. It's the military time. And the call lasted for 1 minute and 41 seconds.
So what we have on the other one is a call that went from, there was from the Donnie VanCallis records, and this is a one that appears to be, because it's the same time, from the James VanCallis phone records.
Correct. And in his phone book, this is labeled as Donnie.
There is a difference in time, I guess, because the other one was 132, that's 141. Is there any accounting for that 9-second difference?
Yes, because this is a 2. So the person making the call, their timer starts right away. The person receiving the call is when they answer.
All right,
So when this was 2, it's a few seconds for the network to get a hold of the person, and then they answer the phone.
when you hit send, the timer starts on this one?
Correct.
Okay. And then on the phone that it's received, it's when...
When they answer.
All right. Then finally, in this group of exhibits, People's Exhibit number 150, did you find a picture of a motorcycle on the computer?
I did.
Okay. And just essentially, is that the picture that you found?
That is.
Okay. Thank you. You could have a seat. We can turn the lights back on.
You can have a seat, sir.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
If you need water and lunch, let me know.
All right, thank you.
Was there any other, I guess, investigation that you did in the case that we're here in court on?
Just the cell phones and the computers.
Okay. At this time we're done with the direct testimony. I would just simply ask, while cross is occurring, we are going to go back into our records. I don't want to lose him just yet, so that we can fix that one exhibit. I want to be able to show him his spreadsheet. We just did a capture off the spreadsheet that's incomplete, so we're going to do that at this time. So I don't know if you want to, I don't want to ask the court to take a break. We'll do it while cross-examination is going on.
Well, this cross is going to take longer than 10 minutes. We're going to take our break now.
Okay.
So we'll see you all back at 11. You're free to go wherever. Please don't talk to anyone, say, look at anything, and I'll see you at 11.
All right, so the jury.